I did not know I was funny.
I don't know what your podcast is called, but it would be like paving new roads.
I was born in San Antonio, Texas, but
Really?
we only lived there for like 2 years.
Oh, okay. Remember the Alamo. Never forget it, dude.
I don't at all. And I didn't speak English yet, but I was like, "This is."
You didn't speak English?
I don't want to live here.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of like crying and crapping my pants, and eventually they got the hint.
Yeah.
This kid hates it.
They're like,
it's hot. Gosh, it's hot.
He hates San Antonio more than Charles Barkley.
Right. He wants out. And so we moved to Colorado, which to me felt like a lateral move. But,
Yeah.
It's fine.
Same people, different climate.
Right. Yeah, exactly. A lot of people driving trucks that don't necessarily need them for anything.
That's
just
so
a lot
funny.
of that kind of vibe. I haven't been into nature in 20 years, but they have a pickup.
Yeah, you're one of the few people that I've known to grow up in Colorado, and you don't mention mountains, no scenery. Yeah. It's all indoor activities,
and it's all like the social aspect of it.
Yeah,
there was just so much that I was like, in a way, I'm very thankful because it motivated me to get out of Colorado.
Yeah.
And I was like, I really think I could have easily. It was a small pond, but not incredibly small.
Sure.
But there was a lot of temptation to just stay there and just do theater as a hobby or do comedy as a hobby or whatever, and just kind of stay local.
What would you have done if this was all just a hobby?
If it was all just a hobby,
what would your career be?
I was in danger of doing that when I was working at Dave & Buster's during the day. And
dude, day shift Dave & Buster's is so sad.
Yeah, it really is. And I was doing that, but they had a murder mystery theater, like dinner theater thing.
Yeah.
And everyone there was super supportive. I have to say that. Everyone at Dave & Buster's kind of knew my deal and that I was heading out to LA eventually. And I asked them about the murder mystery thing, and they were like, yeah, in fact, we can give you time off and you'll get like an extra $50 to do it, and everyone who acts in it gets the dinner. So it's like this big banquet dinner every week.
Nice.
And so,
what year is this?
This would have been 2000. No, like 99.
99.
Yeah.
When getting paid in meatball subs was pretty sweet.
Right. It was a big deal, and it was like a really fancy sort of dinner. And this is how cool they were at Dave & Buster's to me. When I gave my 2 weeks notice, they were about to give me a raise. And they were like, do you know that you won Employee of the Month this month? They were like kind of sad. They were like, you got Employee of the Month and you're quitting. And I was like, yeah, but I'm going to LA. And they were like, oh, well, you can still keep all the stuff. And they gave me like a gift certificate and like all these like power cards and stuff.
Nice.
And so I took my mom there for like a nice big meal there and everything. And then I had my brother's little girls. They were too young to kind of go hang out there, but we had, in the prize cage where I worked, these life-size Looney Tunes of Daffy Duck, and I got to come home like a hero and bring them each these life-size Daffy Ducks. And my brother
that is such a cool uncle move.
And my brother sent me a picture of them like 2 years later. And they were like, they still love those ducks. And the necks were broken on both Daffies, and they're both just like that. But they're like well loved. You can tell like furs being pulled out. Springs are coming out and stuff.
It's like orca whale. Their fins only curl over in captivity, dude.
Exactly. It's like the Velveteen Rabbit. You know that story? Those ducks might come alive at some point. You know? So it was fun. But I got to work at Blockbuster first for like 6 months, and then Dave & Buster's. So there's a Buster theme.
Let's take a walk down memory lane to Blockbuster. Mm-hmm. What do you remember from your days working at Blockbuster?
Man, I loved working in a video store. For me, that was like a kid in a candy shop.
Yeah, right.
next door to me, I made friends with the manager of Little Caesars, who was like this cool
Dude,
dude.
it was a Blockbuster's Little Caesars combo?
It was like a
Taco
mall
Bell, KFC.
plaza, yeah. And the kid who ran it was like a music student who stumbled into managing. I guess the manager of Little Caesars died and like put him in charge. On
Caesar
his
died, and now Little Caesar's in charge.
It was totally that. And so he's this kid was great, but he was like very antisocial, except to me. And I find that there are a lot of people that are like that. They're like generally standoffish, but they can talk to me for some reason. And he had kind of had that vibe. And he would just bring us like oven fresh, like right out of the oven, Little Caesars.
Dang.
And
hot and ready.
Yeah, exactly. Like before that was a thing. And so we would take it in the break room, and the managers would eat like kings, you know, and all the other employees would have pizza and everything. And about 3 months into my time working there, he'd been doing that for 3 months, just feeding us nonstop. And at that time they had these little punch cards that were like every 5 rentals you got a free one. I was just doing a shitload of those for him. He had probably like a whole library of films in his apartment.
Oh, that's sick.
But around halfway through, the manager's like halfway through a slice of pizza, and she's like, you know, that kid Kevin comes over here with pizza all the time. Mike, why don't you see about getting him a free rental? And I was like, I'll get right on that. Asshole.
Yeah.
You've eaten $1,000 worth of pepperoni.
Yeah, I can see the grease coming out of your face. You want to give him one rental, you piece of...
And my favorite thing, we had a great assistant manager named Linda, who was just awesome. But you know how when you get someone on their subject and you don't realize you've done it?
Yeah, you've tapped a keg that cannot be plugged. Yeah.
Exactly. We were talking about wrestling, and she came into the break room and she goes, oh, did you guys watch Main Event last night? And we're like, no, we missed him. She was like, and I don't remember the teams, but it was like the Rowdy Boys and the Nature Boys were in there, and they were fighting, and one of them, he realizes his partner's going to lose, so he jumps in and he starts beating the other guy off. And so his manager sees that, and he sends a bunch of his guys in, and they all start beating that guy off. And then their whole team comes in, and they're beating off those guys, and they're beating off these guys. Oh, you guys should have seen it. I was like, it sounds like a hell of a match. And my friend who was in there was like choking on Dr. Pepper, and he was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. But I was like, what a great... I'm really glad she didn't know the terminology, because her version of it was so much better.
This is well before no homo was a thing.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It was very homo. It was full-on homo.
How old were you when you were working at Blockbuster?
I would have been about 23.
23.
Because I had gone to UNC for theater.
I didn't know that. You're a Tar Heel?
I don't know.
Who?
Not is that you're thinking UNC California, right?
Chapel Hill.
Yeah, North Carolina.
No. Colorado. University of Northern Colorado. Totally different. I was like, I've had this mix-up happen before.
That's so funny.
Totally different thing. I just burped into the microphone like a real champ. But,
like a guy that says he went to UNC, but it was University of North Colorado. Like,
it is. It's, we won whatever the college Super Bowl is. I don't follow sports.
At that time, it was the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Whatever. It was the UNC Bears. What a big thing. And go Bears. I didn't know any of them, but
dude, you don't even know how to describe your school. Never mind their sports teams.
Right. I have no idea. We had a great theater program though, and so I kind of turned it into a conservatory where I was like, I'm not gonna tell them this, but I'm just gonna do all the theater classes and leave.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I'm just wasting casting time.
Sure.
If I stay and get all the
do the pre
geometry and shit like that I've never used once since I've been here, you know. The closest I got to using geometry was one time I fit 12 slices of pizza into one box. That's the most geometric thing I've ever done in my life. And I'm not writing them a thank you for that, you know.
Yeah, I honestly gotta say, I don't know if that was more about your geometry skills as much as it just was your hunger.
Yeah,
like,
I think it's like
I mean?
Dobby from Harry Potter. It's like I can only do it because I need to. It's not that I'm smart enough to do it. I know that I have to. And so it was that, and I got to do a lot of great plays while I was there and work with a lot of cool people, and it was a very like fun, loose sort of environment to go to school in, where like I could leave my apartment unlocked, and I had like a Nintendo 64, and it was just kind of understood that if you ever felt like playing GoldenEye, you could come in, just don't wake me up if I'm asleep, like just go ahead and play, but keep the volume kind of low and shit, you know.
It's like having the Brazzers password for
right,
your friends.
exactly.
Yeah, you had the N64.
Yeah, and it was a lot of fun, and like my apartment smelled. It hasn't changed all that much, but it smelled like Totino's pizza all the time. Even if there hadn't been one in there for like 3 days, it's like it smells like pepperoni or combination.
Dude, that's so funny.
But it was a fun place to go. But then I needed money to come out here. And I woefully underestimated how much money I would need. I was like, I'm going to save $5,000 and go out to Los Angeles. And then on Wednesday, you're broke, you know.
I remember when I moved out here, I asked this guy I work with, how much money do you think I need to move to Los Angeles? And he said, you need $5,000 to get there.
Yeah. I wish I'd met that guy before.
No, you didn't. He's a big drug addict who ruined your life. Shout out Michael Cabarubias, Miyagi. What's up, dude?
He's like, by the way, I need $5,000. So let's say $10,000 is what you need.
Yeah, well, that was a guy who had no teeth in his head. You know what I mean? And to be fair, I think I did make it there in under $5,000, but I wasn't doing as much crack as him. So, you know what I mean?
You were following the Dave Attell advice of, like, don't ask the guy with the one leg, ask the guy with the one tooth.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the opposite of his advice,
But, okay, so you move here.
Right, my buddy Travis Coates, I lived with him for about 5 days and bumblefucked into a great apartment in Koreatown that was rent control, and like the neighborhood was okay.
You want to
but like surrounded by sketchy neighborhoods.
Of course. Yeah.
But in a way, it was like they were protecting us. It was like we had like this whole phalanx around us.
They were never going to try to gentrify over there. Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't like that is happening there now. Just now starting to happen where like a banana is like $5 because some rich asshole bought a $5 banana. And now they think they can charge everyone that, and it's like, that's not going to work.
Sure.
You know, but
for those that aren't nuanced, theater and stand-up are much different things.
Very much so,
When did you start blending them?
I guess that started in college. I did an improv group called Some Crazy Garbage, and we did it. They let us like have all the beer we wanted at this college bar on campus, and
a lot of your paychecks are in food and alcohol.
Pretty much, yeah. I kind of knew the deal getting into it, that I was like, that's pretty much my speed, stuff like that. And we had so much fun, but like the guys that were in the group with me were all seniors, and I was a sophomore. So they all graduated, and that was kind of the end of that. But I got like a real taste for doing it. I've been wanting to do stand-up, though, since I was about 6.
Really?
Like a long time.
Who opened your eyes?
Robin Williams.
Oh, yeah.
In a big, big way, where I was watching Mork and Mindy on TV, and my brother... Well, I have 2 brothers, but my second oldest brother, the middle brother, he was just watching me watch it, and he goes, "What do you want to do when you grow up?" And I was like, "I want to do that." And he was like, I saw on his face that he was like, "I have to break it to him that you can't be an alien." like I could see the sad look on his face.
That's how. That's so funny, but that's how improbable it is to be a comedian.
Right. Oh,
Your brother literally thought he wants to be an alien. Not a comedian. He clearly means he wants to be an alien. He's not talking about doing
And also, to his credit, I was a very weird kid, so like
there's no doubt
so
about
there's
that
a chance that he was like, hey, I better just set him straight. And so he told me, and I was like, but he's pretending, right? And he was like, yeah, and he was like, but that's his job, is pretending. And he was like, yeah, and I was like, I want that. I want to do that. And that, as much as I was already excited about that, it kind of lit a fire under him in a way. Wow. Where he was from my mom's first marriage. Okay. Him and my oldest brother were from my mom's first marriage. So they had about a decade older than me.
Sure.
And so when he heard that, he started bringing home comedy albums, which were real big when I was a kid. Like Eddie Murphy, Rodney Dangerfield, Billy Crystal had a phenomenal comedy album that a lot of people don't know about.
I don't think people... I mean, even I'm pretty young for Billy Crystal, and I think we've talked about this. His one-man show, 700 Sundays, is incredible. But then I went back.
He's a brilliant writer.
I watched his stand-up, and you go, "Oh my God, this guy's incredible!" And I think people just know him from City Slickers or Monsters Inc. now.
Right, and like on that album, he had like Christopher Guest backing him up, and all these other cool like people were like Joe Piscopo dropped in and did sketches with him and stuff. And but what was great is those were stand-up without the visual component. So you're just hearing the words, and your mind is just going wherever it wants to go when you're hearing Carlin talk about something.
Right.
And it wasn't until like cable TV started to really hit that I got to see these guys perform it and see Carlin's phenomenal physical work and his just amazing facial expressions and how much that added to it. And the same with Pryor, and Eddie Murphy had a couple of good comedy albums, but when I saw Raw finally, I was like, God damn, it was just so good. And so then on top of that, he gets a job at a multiplex where it's like 18 screens, and he would be like, after school, come watch movies for free.
Your brother did this? Wow.
And he was just kind of like, without ever saying it or anything, he was just kind of like giving me influence on all these different things. We had one rule in my house, and it was because my parents are both like 50s era people.
Sure.
And my
just means racist for listeners.
More than my mom, my dad was like, no Cheech and Chong. He was like, no Cheech and Chong in the house.
They're clean.
And so they had to sneak Cheech and Chong into the house. Yeah. You know? And I was like, and as I got older and started to learn more about everyone else, I was like, don't tell Dad about George Carlin. Don't tell him about Richard Pryor at all. You know, just keep
your
that
dad's
to
like
yourself.
Joe Friday.
Yeah. And eventually he kind of mellowed out like most of the world has, you know. But but at the time it was like he grew up on movies like Reefer Madness, telling you that like you're gonna get stabbed if you do that stuff. And I think also, much like my brother thought that I might want to be an alien, I'm pretty sure my dad was like, if this kid ever gets into drugs, he's gonna get way into drugs. So I better put down a hard line real fast. You know?
So you move out here. First of all, what's the first job you get in LA?
The first job that I got in LA I didn't end up doing. It was at the Long Beach Playhouse. I auditioned. I don't even know if that still exists. I think it does, but I've heard commercials for it every now and again.
See, it's either that or like a, El Pollo Loco now. You know what I mean?
It could easily have gone either way in Long Beach. Yeah. But it was, at the time, it was the historic Long Beach Playhouse, and they had a whole thing, and they were like, come audition. And so I went, and I was like, God, it's a long way to Long Beach. And I drove it felt like 3 hours, but everything feels like 3 hours when you first move here. And so they call me up, and they're like, we have some great news. You don't even have to do a callback. We've cast you in this show at the Long Beach Playhouse. And I was like, this is real far away. I don't want to do it. And they were like, What?
This is why they might be out of business.
I drove them out of business.
Mike Black killed the Long Beach Playhouse.
The mayor of Long Beach is going to hear this. Send his goons to beat the shit out of me. But I was like, I don't want to do it. And they were like, what? Like the guy was like, was this a prank or something?
Yeah.
Like, no,
Why'd you audition?
I was like, I didn't know it was that far away, man. I'm sorry. And he was
Yeah.
like, okay. And I could just hear him like ripping my headshot up. And like, fuck that guy.
He'll never work in this town again.
And so, so then I started doing stand up, and it wasn't.
What was stand-up? What year is this, first of all?
This would have been late 99, early 2000.
Wow.
And
what's stand-up like in LA in 2000?
At that time, it was pretty good. There was like a lot of different places to perform, but there weren't half as many stand-ups doing it.
Right.
So it was very easy to get into the culture. And like I was kind of afraid to start because I had put so much on it in my head that I was like, I'm just gonna drag a couple of my friends and just keep going to shows for a while. And we went to a show in Santa Monica at the Comedy Underground, which is now gone. But
Right.
there's another Comedy Underground like 2 blocks down.
Yeah.
And I went there, and Sally Mullins was running a
I
show
love
there.
Sally.
Great comedian and a great person. She has one of my favorite jokes that I've ever heard about stand-up, which is she was like, the comedy culture is so supportive. Everyone's like, we're all going to make it. And I'm like, well, someone's got to serve the drinks. Which is one of my favorite jokes I've ever heard. And so she was like, after they were done, it was like a bunch of cool comics, and there was a Hooters like a block down that was still open for another hour. And I was like, hey, me and my friends are going to Hooters. If any of you like comedians would like to join us, we'd love to have you. And they were like, okay. And so they just came out and we all went and ate at Hooters.
I actually don't know one comedian that would turn down a free trip to Hooters.
No.
Female, male, doesn't matter.
Even today, yeah.
Yeah.
And so we went there, and we were talking, and I was just kind of cracking her up and the other comics and stuff like that. And so she was like, are you doing stand-up? I was like, not yet. I was thinking about it. And my buddy Brian, shout out to my buddy Brian, he goes, he could do it whenever you want him to. And so she goes, well, I have an opening in 2 weeks if you want to do it. And I was like,
Wow.
okay. And so that was
You
kind of
hadn't
like
even done an open mic.
nothing. Yeah. And it
Wow.
was like 7 minutes. And
How'd you do?
For me, that was an eternity.
Yeah.
I wrote like a full legal pad of jokes.
Yeah,
And I was like reading them off while I was doing it.
Thinking about doing 7 minutes, never doing an open mic before on like a book show
Yeah.
in Los Angeles,
Either way, it was like I was lucky I didn't know how insane that was.
ignorance
you
is
know?
bliss, baby.
Yeah.
It is a current theme throughout this podcast. I think
Yeah.
all the people in whether their successes in comedy, MMA, fighting, or acting, whatever, all of them have had a bit of ignorance to them.
Yeah.
Of this will work out.
I think it made a big difference. And I had written what I thought was 7 minutes. And with adrenaline and everything, it was like 3.5.
Yep.
And so I just kind of improvised the remaining time that I had, and it was fun. It was first of all, it was a very small. It was kind of like the belly room,
Sure.
where it was like it's very intimate, and they can like pick up on all the
60
little
people, you're
things that
5 feet
doing
from
and stuff.
everyone. Yeah.
And so it was a great.
That's kind of
first
that
time
is
to do it, you know.
As somebody that watches, I've watched you 100 million times at this point.
sorry. I'm so
No,
sorry.
hey, I don't have to. You know what
Yeah,
I
that's
mean?
true, that's true.
But you do thrive in a 50 to 60 person environment where you're on top of them, and because
Yeah.
you are very subtle with a lot of stuff that you
Yeah.
do. Go. Sorry.
It's not as much, like arenas would be very
Yeah, I
challenging.
mean, well, now
you
they
know.
have jumbotrons and whatever.
Right, yeah.
It's a bit different, but
But it was a lot of fun, and I was as hooked as I thought I was gonna be, and I went I think that was on a Wednesday. I went here that following Sunday, and I didn't know any of the deal on what to do or anything. And my buddy Dave Mashevitz was running the bucket and all that shit. And he kind of was like, he could see how eager I was, and he was just like, fuck off this week, but come back next week and do this, and this. And I was like, okay,
it's good advice.
I'll do it. And he was like, you're just going to annoy everyone today, so just fucking leave and come back.
Dude, if young comics could get that advice early, just, hey man, take this week to be excited and come back next week when your nerves
take it way down because you're so fucking.
So how long between that and to when you got to the Comedy Store?
To when I got like passed and stuff? Or
no, when you were starting to get traction.
That would have been within about a 6-month period where...
Fuck, that's quick, dude.
Where I was like... I was doing other shows around town.
Sure.
Too. And like I said, it was a much smaller pool. So you have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, that's... Okay, good point.
It sounds like Mozart, but it's not.
Yeah,
You know. And so I was very lucky that I caught Bobby Lee's eye and Ari Shafir around the same time and Bob Oshak. Like those three people were all kind of like instrumental. And Duncan Trussell,
those are four great people to catch the eye of.
And then me and Steve Simone were kind of on a similar
I love Steve.
track, only he kind of like leaned into being a door guy immediately and kind of went that route, but he was very much in my corner and very
Were you a door guy ever?
helpful. No.
I didn't think so. For someone that is like as knowledgeable and as beloved as you are in that building, like you're probably one of the only guys that wasn't a door guy that is like that with the door guys.
I always think of myself as the adopted kid.
You're the adopted door guy?
Right. Like, because honestly, I was making money around that time doing commercials. Sure. Like, I had booked a Nike golf campaign that was like 12 commercials in a row.
Hold on. What were you doing in a Nike golf commercial?
It was a guy who I didn't know. I still don't know.
Were you dressed as the golf ball? No.
No, but it was before them, but it was similar to those Apple and not Apple commercials.
Oh, okay.
Where this guy, he's a great golfer named David Duval, represented the Nike cast golf clubs.
Okay.
I thought they cast him because he must be related to Robert Duvall, the actor. I was like, this guy's just a good actor, and that's why they've got him doing this. And so it was me and him, and I was all the other garbage golf clubs in the world, and they had us like playing Battleship against each other and doing all these other things, and then they would go, the Nike club can do this, and not like those other asshole clubs, you know. And so that got some attention too, and Eleanor was very much in my camp.
Eleanor Kerrigan
was like super, super hardcore in my camp. She's just one of those that if she likes you, and she, you know, she's just a good person, you know, and
totally.
She kind of like would elbow Dice and go like, "Oh, Mike just did a Super Bowl commercial. You should check it out."
Really?
You know, and he'd be like, "Oh, okay," and then he would start watching me, and Dice used to like hang out in the back of the Comedy Store and watch a lot of the comics, and he wouldn't heckle, but he would say things loud enough. He knows the OR.
Yeah.
Like if someone didn't have it, he would just like lean over to Mitzi or whoever and just, he's a 0. And the guy's on stage just like
Dice Clay's fucking talking shit to younger comics, dude. That's so what a dick.
It was so great. And so, but he was like always just so cool to me and so supportive. And then eventually he took me on the road with him a couple of times.
Is that the first big person you're opening for? Because
yes.
I mean, there's a point in time where he was probably the biggest comedian in the world.
Yeah, and I'd grown up watching him, and
he did like the first stadium, like was it Meadowlands or?
Well, he did. He was the first guy to sell out Madison Square
That's
Garden.
what it was. Yeah.
That was such a big deal. And
you're opening for this motherfucker.
Yeah, and I watched him. I knew his act, chapter, and verse as a kid. Him and
Hickory
Kinnison and all those guys.
Yeah.
I would do their acts for the other kids in middle school that didn't have cable. And I would tell them, this is all of this guy's jokes, and then I would do all of that guy's jokes. And now I was working with him, and like Pauly put me on. He had a reality show that was on VH1 for a while, and he put me on that, and he took me with him to La Jolla. So those two guys were both very, very cool for, someone who had virtually no credits of any kind. And then I had a manager for a brief period at Levity who was a really awesome dude named Matt, and he hooked me up with John Panette.
And that's what this is what I wanted to talk to you about.
Yeah.
John Panette, I grew up a fat kid.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He was very important to fat kids. He was kind of like the Fluffy of his day.
I was going to say, in terms of fat comedians, Fluffy, Ralphie May, and then I kind of put John Panette there, of stand-up comedians anyways.
I would say those guys and Louis.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Were like the ones that really resonated in a way. And Roseanne, for that matter.
Totally. Roseanne's definitely in there.
Like, they were ones that really made it okay to not look like a movie star. That made it where, like, no, you can do this.
Yeah.
Kinnison too, I would say, for that.
Definitely.
Where they were just like, he didn't do a lot of jokes about it.
Yeah, when you saw him playing the
he
teacher,
was not
you
a
went,
typical dude.
Yeah, right.
And those guys very much hit home with me a little bit more than any of the other comics.
Sure. I think I don't know if it was 2 nights ago or whenever we were talking. I told you that, like, when I saw that you opened for John, that immediately I saw things in him that come out in your act, and for internet's sake, I'm not saying that Mike steals John's, but they're like, every comic, you see somebody do something and you make you try to make it your own, and who, like, Dice Clay, Bobby, Eleanor, John, all these people. Yeah. Who do you think? Who'd you take the most from?
As far as like their influence on
you? Who influenced? That's what I should say. Who influenced you the most?
Of the ones that I met, it was probably Dice and Panette, who were very much opposite ends of the spectrum. Like,
they're completely
you look at,
opposite.
Like, their fans even, and like the way that people interacted with them.
I respect Dice Clay and everything he did and does.
Yeah.
I hate his comedy. It's not for me. it's just not for me.
Fair, yeah.
But that being said, Panette, that's like golden.
Absolutely.
And comedy is a spectrum, and that's why it's beautiful and everything like that. But anyway, sorry.
I would say Dice to be honest, he hit me at the right age when I discovered him.
How old were you?
I was like about 12. So for a 12-year-old boy,
a 12-year-old loves a dick joke.
Is a trip to the fucking moon. Yeah, compared to everything else that's been going on in your life, But I'll say, like you said, you can't really quantify it. I think he's funnier now than he ever was in his prime.
Really?
I think he's closer to that Rodney territory. Because he when he was in his prime and he was like selling out all over the world, he was the coolest guy in the room. Now he's the guy that has passed by, and he's in a world that he doesn't really understand. And he's so much funnier in that world and in how he navigates it and how he deals with it. And it's such a dangerous place for a guy like him, where everyone is offended by everything, that he's just a lot more interesting. He's just a lot more fun to watch. And watching him just go off on like little tiny things that happen. Like, he does all these like Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, where he's like thinking that people want pictures with him and stuff like that. And they'll say some subtle
and then you see
thing.
Eleanor being like, they were asking for directions.
Right.
Yeah.
And he'll just go on the attack about it, and it's so funny. Like, I remember
one time on the road, and it happens a lot. It's not like I have any particular riz or anything like that.
Yeah.
But a really pretty girl after the show was just complimenting me. Oh. And just being nice. Just, oh, you were really funny, whatever. And Dice comes out, and she sees him. And so, of course, she gets kind of like stage fright or whatever. And she goes, oh, hi. And he goes, you made your choice. And then he just turns around. He's so good at those little awkward moments. At really making them into some big thing, you know? Yeah. And my favorite thing that he ever did, the hardest maybe I've ever laughed in my life, was we did shows at a place that no longer exists called the Laugh Stop in Houston. Okay. And it was a terrific club, but we had done 3 shows on Saturday. For anybody, that's exhausting. That's a lot of work. And, you know, big crowds, sold out every night. But we get to the end of this night, and it's like 1 a.m, and his limo, he had a limo driver that knew the city well enough that he was like, there's a deli that's open for another half hour. And so he was like, okay, we're going to get some food. We'll go back to my room and eat, and then we'll just sleep and then worry about tomorrow's shows. So we get this amazing spread, and we're eating, and we go into that food coma sort of where we're both just sitting there, and it's been such a long day, and we're both just like, oh. And then finally, after about 8 minutes of silence, he just goes, "Did you hear about that guy and the monkey? Ripped his dick off." It's not funny. The monkey ripped the guy's dick off. And I was like, what the fuck? I didn't know if he was making it up or if it was real. And I'm like half crying because I'm laughing so hard. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And he tells me about this story that he'd seen, and it was fucking true. And it was a guy. I was like, what happened? And I was like, did this happen at the zoo? And I'm picturing like a guy just walking into the zoo and a monkey bounding out of a cage, ripping his dick off or something. Right. He's like, no. He has an adopted monkey that the zoo takes care of, and he brought it a birthday cake. Because that's what you want to do. Shove a plate of fire in a monkey's face and see what happens. And I was like, oh, so the monkey went crazy. No, his monkey was cool. This other monkey gets crazy jealous, knocks the cake out of his hand, rips his dick off, and then kicks his ass. And I was like, Jesus Christ. And he was like, yeah, that's why you don't ever fight a monkey. They don't have any rules.
So for the 8 minutes of silence that you guys are, this is like you're probably thinking about, can't wait to go to bed and take a shower. He's thinking about this monkey. That's so funny, dude.
He was like, a monkey rips your dick off. That's his opening move. Fight's over, monkey. There's no and then.
Yeah.
you know. But he was just like that.
Oh, Dice.
All the time. And it was so fun. And it was like, there have been times, and I think in any comedy career, in any entertainment career, eventually, nobody tells you this, but eventually you get to a point where you stop answering calls from people that you would have died to talk to 20 years earlier.
Yeah.
That never happened with him.
Yeah.
I was always excited to talk to Dice, and he was always funny as hell.
Can you name someone you're not excited to?
I'm not here. I'm not. Not that's alive anyway.
What? I gotta ask.
Robert Schimmel.
Yeah. You're like, Julia Roberts won't stop calling me. Did you ever eat with Panette?
Oh, numerous times.
What's it
that
like?
was like half of our relationship when we weren't doing stand-up.
So this is, what's it like to eat with John Panette?
Oh, man, what a great question that is.
Because that is his comedy.
That's his thing, That's the...
Timmy, he didn't make it. You know what I mean?
That's the flip side of what I just said, of like the avoiding phone calls. you do some things where you're like, this is somebody's fantasy camp.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm getting to be at Carrabba's with John Panette right now and we're both like thinking, should we have a dessert or should we keep doing it? Yeah. This is what a baller he was. He took me with him because he was doing a princess cruise to Italy. And he said, I need a writer with me to feel comfortable. So they put me in a cabin and they were like, yeah, it's basically a floating buffet for a week. And it was the two of us just eating in all these different ports. And we went to Naples. And that city, when you're coming in, it's all these pastel buildings with like gold lining on them and stuff like that. It's what I imagine pulling into heaven looks like. It's that beautiful. And we get there and he was like, I'm starving. Is there anywhere around here to get ice cream? And a lady's jaw dropped and she was like, no. She was like, you don't want ice cream. You want, what's it called? The Italian ice. Gelato. She was like, you want gelato. To go there, and we go, and it's like right past like all of these great fountains and stuff like that. And we go to this place, and there are like 6 little containers of gelato. And gelato in Italy is a lot like kickboxing in Thailand. If you decide you want to do it at 6, you're too old. It's like, no, you should have started at 4 if you want to make gelato. If you're serious, you'd start at 4 years old. And so we look at the 6 options and we're like, I don't know what to pick. And the lady goes, what are you doing? And we're like, picking one. She goes, go around this side. We go around the side. There's 300 other flavors of gelato. Wow. There. And everything tastes like exactly like what it is. It's not like grape ice cream tastes like a grape candy. It tastes like that, only smooth and cold, like whatever it's supposed to be. Yeah. And so we each get like 3 scoops of like whatever weird combinations of things we can get. And I'm eating mine and I go, John, do you like it? And he was like, it's good. Not in that, I'm going to get another scoop way. It's good, and now I got to sell all my shit and move to Italy sort of way. He was on all the first time I met him was at the Tempe Improv in Arizona. And they were like, go upstairs, Mr. Panette's up there, and he'll just say hi to him, before the show. And so I go up and I was like, hi, Mr. Panette. And he goes, come in. And he had a plate of avocado slices. And he goes, have some avocado. It's the good fat, like me. Then he gave me $100. And he was like, that's for the trip out. He was like, I'll tip you again at the end of the weekend. And I was like, oh, thank you. He tipped everyone that he came in contact with. It didn't matter what they did. He tipped everybody. And he goes, on the last night, he was like, if you don't mind, stick around because I want to throw like a little party for the staff. He threw a pizza party for the entire staff of the Tempe Improv, gave them each a signed copy of his DVD, and still tipped all of them pretty much on the way out. Wow. And I was like, at the end of the week, I was like, I got to say, it's been such a pleasure working with you. You're one of the nicest people that I've worked with. And I was like, it amazes me how good you are to the staff. He was like, I got all that from Mr. S. And I was like, okay, I didn't want to offend him by asking, so I didn't. But then we did like 2 or 3 more gigs, and he brought up Mr. S a couple more times, and finally I was like, John, I got to ask, who's Mr. S? And he was like, Mr. Sinatra. And I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, yeah, when I worked with Mr. Sinatra in Vegas. And I was like, can I ask how that happened? He was like, that was when Kenny Rogers had to fire me. And I was like, well, you worked with Kenny Rogers too? And he was like, yeah, but one night a little Boston came out and I said the F word by mistake. and the pit boss was in the room. And he was like, this is what a class act Kenny Rogers is. He goes, John, I'm sorry, I gotta fire you. You know, they heard you say it, and it's a family show that I do, and they can't have it. He goes, but you're gonna land on your feet. Stay in the hotel the rest of the month. It's on me. Just until you can. He's like, we'll get you something. Don't worry about it. He was like, I didn't make it back to my room before there was a message on my answering machine saying, this is, Vic Pedicata over at Caesar's Palace, and Mr. Sinatra understands that you might be available.
Wow.
So he fired him and got him the best gig a comic could possibly have in Las Vegas. And so Sinatra loved him, but it was towards the end of Sinatra's life, right? And but Sinatra was like, he knew that it was his time, that he was about to die. And so for the last week of shows that he was going to do, he was like, I'm on my way out. And for the last week, it's got to be Rickles. So tomorrow night, think of it as your last show with me, but also be a gentleman, kind of pass the torch to Rickles, bring him up in a real nice way. So he was like, I did the best 10 minutes I could possibly do. He was like, I was fighting back tears because it had been such a great thing to be able to do. And I was like, did it go well? And he was like, I got a standing ovation.
Wow.
And as people are standing, Rickles comes out, gives me a big hug, and goes, you'll get him next time.
That's so good. Oh, that's so good.
But yeah, I miss that guy. He was... Someone said about him, I don't know who it was, but they said that guy could read a phone book and it'd be funny. He just had that cadence.
I mean, and like I do think of you in this way a lot. You and John are those kind of comics that stand and deliver.
Oh,
you know what I mean? Like when someone says you can read, I could listen to that guy read a phone book. That means that they don't have to move. They don't have to, like the eyebrow raises and the subtleties are all things for sure.
Yeah.
But it is a testament to being like, oh, they can just sit there and deliver. And
thank you. That's very kind of you.
Of course, man. We're wrapping up. Thank you so much for coming out.
Man, thanks for having me. This went by so fast.
I know.
It might be the cocaine, but I had a great time.
What do you think? What do you think? The one job is that everybody should have to work. One industry that every person should have to work in order to be a real human.
Any sort of service.
Like customer service?
Any sort of customer service, preferably food service.
Okay.
Because you really learn a lot about how to treat people when you're on the receiving end of that.
Sure.
But I think I will say this. I got to work for a very brief period with Brian Henson, Jim Henson's son. And he did something I think that is brilliant. His dad, Jim Henson, made him work every job in the studio to prepare him to run the studio.
Sure.
And I was like, if you can do something like that, the more you learn about whatever your profession is, sound, lighting, what have you, the more effective you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think and nowadays, if you're a comedian, with all the social media and all the different stuff that there is now, learn as much as you can about editing and post-production.
Great advice.
Comedy is in the timing, and editing is all about timing.
Yeah? Wow.
Yeah.
That's a really good way to put that. Well, Mike, thanks so much for coming out, man.
Thank you for having me.
Where do the people find you? Do you have anything?
I get my mail at the Comedy Store, so that's usually the easiest way to find me. And I'm on Instagram at Mike Black is back.
Yeah, at Mike Black is back. And if you're not on Instagram, show up to 8433 West Sunset Boulevard, the Comedy Store. Look for the guy with a T-shirt of Mike Black's face on it.
Right.
That will be Mike Black.
Most likely.
So
for now.
Yeah. It might be me too, because I'm definitely getting one.
And
of
eventually
these.
Don Barris, if we can find the right color for
him. Well, thanks again for coming out, man. This is a great episode.
Thank you, man.
And thank you for listening, guys. Tune in next time.